All right, guys, we've got a 2016 Nissan Versa, and the owner told me that the AC wasn't working. So initially I thought that's probably low on refrigerant, compressor might not be working, whatever. But whenever I get in it, it's the blower motor that's not working, no matter what. Whenever you start it, you hear the compressor kick on. I felt the low pressure line out under the hood, and it's ice cold. So that tells me the compressor and the AC system itself is working fine, but the blower motor's not blowing. Now, whenever we look at the diagram, and this is the case for actually a lot of blower motor systems. So here's your selector switch, your fan switch. You can see you're off, then you got 1, 2, 3, 4. All these wires, except for one of them, the number 4, the highest speed, the other 3 go through the blower motor resistor. So depending on which resistors they go through determines the speed of the blower motor. The high speed typically bypasses the resistor, and it's a straight shot, as you see here, to the blower motor. So if you take your selector knob, and if you don't have speed on any 4 of the positions, as long as all the wiring's good and your fuses are good, and I'll show you where your fuses are at here in just a minute, most likely it is the blower motor. Now if you have blower motor on high only, but the other 3 speeds, you don't have any speeds at all, you only have a blower motor on high speed, most likely the blower motor resistor is bad. Now, theoretically, it could be the switch, but it'd be very coincidental that all 3 of the speeds right here are bad and just high speed is good. So if I was going to shotgun something, if you did not have blower motor on the 3 lower speeds that you did on high, I would put a blower motor resistor. If you don't have blower motor on any 4 speeds, then most likely it's the blower motor, as long as your fuses are good. Now the thing is, the blower motor on this is probably a reason not to own a Versa. The blower motor on this car is on the driver's side, and I'm not even going to come close to be able to show you where it's at with all the stuff in, but it's up in the middle of the dash on the driver's side. You literally have to take out the brake and gas pedal assembly, and most likely this steering shaft is going to have to come loose so we can get the brake pedal assembly out. So that's what we're going to probably do on this video, is change the blower motor. But your 2 fuses, if you ever want to check them for your blower motor, is this 15 amp and this 15 amp. So both these 15 amps right here, and I've already checked them and they are good. I just wanted to make sure that neither one of those were blown. Let me show you on the print. So these 2 wires right here, these 2 15 amp fuses coming down, they tie in together and then they run over to the blower motor. Now, I don't understand why they would have designed it that way. I would have thought just run a heavy enough wire to carry 30 amps and put a 30 amp fuse in. But maybe the fuse holders themselves can't quite handle 30 amps, so each fuse holder has to be 15 amps, and then the wire itself is not going to be a problem. But anyway, the thing that we got to do is figure out where to mount the camera so that you guys can see most of what I'm going to do, and then get started on changing this motor out. All right, guys, so one thing we can do is, if you look at this print, we got constant power on one leg of the blower motor. The other leg is coming down here to the blower motor resistor to pin 3. So the selector switch is supplying ground whenever you go from off to 1, 2, 3, and 4. or your different speeds. So we could take a test light, clip it off to the power side of the battery, and then pin in to number 3 to pin 3 and see if the test light lights up. If it does, then most likely we've got ground up here to the blower motor, and the blower motor, if it was good, should work. That'd be another quick check that we can do, and the blower motor resistor is actually pretty easy to get to. Let me show you where that's at. Blower motor resistor is right there, and you can see I've got a T-pin stuck in it. That's the blue wire. The key is on. The blower motor switch is turned on. You can see it lights up. So we've got ground right there at the blower motor resistor. So theoretically, if the blower motor was good, we are bypassing this resistor, and we're putting the ground straight from the switch straight to this point and straight up to the blower motor, and the blower motor is not turning. So that's, I'm going to say that's about a 98% probability that the blower motor is bad. Yeah, technically you could have an issue with this wire or this wire. We've already checked our fuses, but since you can't really get to this connector without taking everything apart, at this point it would be safe to say the blower motor is the problem, at least until you get to that connector to verify the connector. So let's go ahead and start taking this thing apart so that we can at least get to that connector and verify it. All right, guys, I'm going to take this 13 millimeter out of the steering shaft. There's another one up top. A lot of people will say mark this. Well, you got a flat right here that's lined straight up with the split, so I don't really think it's important to mark this side. I am going to mark the top side just to make sure that I did drive this car and make sure the steering wheel was straight. So I obviously want the steering wheel to stay straight whenever I'm done. I don't know if you guys ain't gonna be able to see up top here. I am going to turn the shaft so I can get to the bolt, but before I slide it off, I'm going to mark it. I'm going to show you what I got here. See that right there? See the little yellow dot? I'm going to take that bolt out, and that should allow that steering shaft to slide down so that we can then concentrate on the brake pedal assembly. I can change it. I can already tell that's going to be a nuisance, so I'm going to zip tie that. So at this point, you've got about 5 bolts that we're going to have to take out. Got some connectors. There's a throttle position connector. There are a couple switches up here. I'm just going to rotate them and they pop right out. I know you're probably not going to be able to see. Looks like needle nose pliers, so we'll get those out. We got a pin for the brake pedal, and then the bolts, and then we hopefully will be able to finagle this thing out of here. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to get, you could probably do this once this is kind of down and free.
I'm just using needle nose pliers to push the little tabs in on these wire holders. So I've got the wire harness completely disconnected. It looks like there's one more. I want to go ahead and take this pin out. So there's a little cotter key. Then there's a pin. That you've got to you got the pin you got to take out. Now it tells you not to reuse, so you got this pin, pull this pin out, push these two little tabs in, and you're just going to have to pull this out with a little bit of force. These tabs will spread out the opposite way. They tell you not to reuse either one of these, just to give you that heads up. 13mm for these bolts here. All right, all bolts are free. Let's see what kind of a pain this is going to be. Okay, let me get this harness. Okay, there's the last harness. We're almost there, guys. Hang in there. What in the world are we hanging up? There we go. Okay, so there's a harness right back here in the back too. Hopefully you're seeing that. A clip. But It's easily gotten to once this is out. But this is the assembly. Now, I don't know if it would be any easier if you took these two bolts out right here, slid the throttle pedal assembly off this bracket. Might let you finagle this around just a little bit easier. I don't know. Now the blower motor is right there. You got one Phillips screw up there. You rotate the blower motor and then you pull it straight out. All right, guys, I just verified at the connector that we do have power and ground. So blower motor is definitely the problem. So I'm going to take that one Phillips screw out, rotate the blower motor, pull it out. Got the screw out. I'm going to try to film pulling the actual blower motor out. I don't know how much light is going to be up there. Okay, there's the blower motor. Rotate, pull straight down. Don't grab the steering wheel. So what I've also done, I've taped the steering wheel to the multifunction switch. That way I know that it has not turned much anyway. That way when I go back together with it, my line should line up. All right, guys, so I got a Duralast motor. This PM4060 is the part number. The top of it looks like it's the right one. But if you look down here at the what I call the squirrel cage, or the fan itself, you can see that this one's a little bit smaller, not only in height but in diameter. Now it is a little bit differently designed as far as the fins, so I don't know if this blows an equivalent amount of air as this. I'm going to put this in, plug it in, fire it up, make sure it's blowing plenty of air, and then that's what we're going to go with. It's not uncommon for an aftermarket part to be slightly different than the factory part. So anyway, that's my plan. Probably not going to film this part of it going in. You saw it coming out, and it's the opposite way. Put it in. You're going to rotate it this way to lock it in. Put your screw in. And then you can see this one's got a pigtail that comes off. That's not uncommon either. Just plug your factory connector into this, and you should be good to go. Anyway, I'm going to get this in, and then I'll turn the camera on to show you that it works, and then we'll start going back together with it. All right, guys, here we go. I can hear it, and yeah, it feels perfectly normal. Plenty of air blowing. Got all the speeds. All right, guys, hopefully you can see this. Let me pull my harness down. I just kind of had it shoved up and out of the way, because I think what we got to do is put this up here like this, and there's a spot somewhere right here. I'm going to hook it up once I get there. Almost there. All right, not that big of a deal. Okay, so basically all I've got to do now is get the bolts put in, and then snap the harness up, and then push these down into their little respective sockets, and then give them a quarter turn to lock them in. Double check your brake lights, make sure they're working. Of course, we're going to have to hook the steering shaft up, but as of right now, the hard part's over. The manual does say you can put the brake pedal pin in either direction. I'm going to go ahead and put it in so that I can pull that booster towards the passenger compartment. Just wanted to make sure I'm not pinching the wires. Probably going to be in y'all's way, but we've got to get up in here. Get my bolts. Get my bolts started. Let me get those harnesses out of my way. Okay, all the bolts are in. Don't forget your throttle pedal connector. And now, oh, for the switches. All right, guys, so what you're going to do with your switches is stick them in the housing all the way till they're depressed. Then you're going to turn them to lock them in. So again, push it in and turn it, lock it in. Make sure that when you push on your brake that they depress and release. All I got to do now is put my cotter key in right here and steering shaft. All right, guys, when you put your steering shaft back on, you can see my two dots where I marked it. There's a groove right here in this shaft. That's where your bolt needs to go. So make sure you've got your shaft pushed on enough to where when your bolt goes in, the bolt goes into that groove. That way, there's no way that the steering shaft's going to come off. Last thing you want when you're driving down the road. So I want to put this bolt in, the bolt down here at this end, and this job's going to be done. All right, guys, we got nice cold AC coming out. Nice strong air. If you have a check engine light, you may have to either reset it with a scan tool or disconnect the battery and reconnect it. Because I had the accelerator pedal connector unplugged and I did have the key on for checking the blower motor, the computer did not like that. So either disconnect your battery if you don't have a scan tool. If you have a scan tool, hook it up, do a code reset, DTC reset, and you should be good. Anyway, this was a 2016 Nissan Versa with a bad blower motor. You guys take care.